Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, today's bullet points episode is a perfect example of why I created bullet points. The Washington Post put out another opinion piece, and this one is just asinine. For example, did you know that the top three things that are the biggest worry in the whole entire world are as follows? COVID-19, global warming, and gun violence? I know it's just marketing, it's just branding, because we used to call it crime that used the gun, but now it's the gun's fault. We're back on that train. I've got everything linked in the description box below, and I want to hear what you guys think on this, because this is important. This shows you their mindset of where they're at and how they're speaking down to us, because the condescension and the arrogance is back, baby, in spades. But let's dive in. Again, I want to hear what you think, and let's check this out. Here we go, Washington Post. Opinion. The new GOP philosophy. An ounce of cure is worth a pound of prevention. Of course, that's an inverse of the old adage, right? And here, they're starting right out of the gate, irritating me already. Do you remember how anything to do with the founders was terrible and horrible, had to be washed away from history and can't be good because that means our foundation of our country's good, and therefore, obviously, is not, so the founders were bad, so we got to rewire everything. Remember that? Okay, well, here's a quote from Benjamin Franklin. On February 4th, 1735, Benjamin Franklin famously advised his fellow Philadelphians to prevent fires by being careful with hot coals, cleaning chimneys, and enacting regulations against wooden molding on fireplaces. Quote, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, he wrote. And here's something that I want you to keep in mind while we do this. Do you notice how this entire reference from Ben Franklin is about preventing tragedies? Doesn't say anything about Ben Franklin saying, don't use fires because they can cause fires. You notice that? He said, take precautions, be careful, and be a steward of the force that you're using. That's what Ben Franklin was saying. But what this guy says is, well, he was doing an ounce of prevention. Funny how he didn't say ban all fires. Just a little thing I picked out. Anyway, here we go. Let the condescension begin. Today's Republicans turn that wise aphorism on its head. They seem to think an ounce of cure is worth a pound of prevention. When it comes to the three most urgent crises we face, COVID-19, global warming, and gun violence. And I'm going to hold there for a second. COVID-19, first pandemic in 100 years. Global warming, they say it ends the entire planet. And now you're putting gun violence in that same bucket? That's how you shape out your life, your worldview? Okay. They disdain prevention in favor of amelioration. In practice, that means allowing these calamities to rage out of control and then hoping for the best. And that's the thing. If the leftists look at something and they say, oh, you're not doing it the way I want to, so you clearly are in favor of, what did he say? Amelioration. You want everything bad to just happen, and it'll just happen and it'll figure it out. No prevention, no nothing. When in the very first quote that he did from Ben Franklin, again, supposed to be bad, except when they want to use him, it's all about preventing fires, not banning fires. They don't even know it when they're putting in their own articles. But let's keep going. While we deal with the consequences of COVID-19 and global warming, the United States is also being ravaged by an epidemic of gun violence. Last year, with nearly 20,000 people killed by firearms, not counting suicides. It's funny, you used to count suicides, but now you don't count suicides. It's weird how you pivot like that, but whatever. Gun deaths spiked to a level we haven't seen in decades. This year is even worse. No other advanced industrialized democracy has this kind of gun violence, not even close. That is so different. And why are you advanced? Are you saying you're better than other people? Are you saying that everything is not equality of outcomes? You're the worst progressive ever, by the way. Not only do you not know how to use analogies and tie them together with what you're doing, you're also putting yourself above a different nation. For shame. Anyway, that's also a manipulation, but I'll continue. Not even close. U.S. gun deaths are more than 8 times higher than in Canada and nearly 100 times higher than the United States. Okay. The Canadian Prime Minister who was just reelected literally ran on gun violence and gun control. If that was the case and it wasn't that bad, then why did he do it? Just saying. And the United Kingdom has the worst knife violence in the established world, not just advanced democracies. The entire world. So get your stuff straight before you start throwing that around. And now the last one. Republicans are all in favor of more police officers and longer prison sentences. Yep. Pretty much. Accountability. A world without accountability leads to what we have now. But they refuse to do anything to reduce the availability of firearms. Again, this is the same thing. He didn't say in his opening salvo with Ben Franklin quote, the availability of fires in homes. No, what he said was an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Well, it's interesting how you're messing that up. Oh, man. They're blaming the firearms for the existing crime. If it wasn't the firearms, then why is the highest knife crime in the world in London? It doesn't make sense. Their arguments do not make sense. They blame on the availability of firearms, not what people do with the firearms. It's so asinine. Anyway, just the opposite. The Republican majority legislature in Texas just approved, and the Republican governor signed, a law that will make it easy to carry a gun in public without a permit. He started off by saying the availability of firearms is the problem. Then he goes into carrying without a permit, completely negating the fact that you still have to do a background check to buy the guns that they would be carrying without a permit. Why is this? Okay, it's two things. You're either completely ignorant of what you're talking about, or you're being maliciously ignorant on purpose. I'm leaning towards this one because you know what's really going on, and you're just trying to spin this to make it work for you. You're doing a terrible job, but still, that's what you're trying to do. The Texas Tribune reports that law enforcement officers worry that this could increase crime rates while putting officers and residents in danger. Well, it could incite people to take this as a fact if it were published, but you still published it anyway, didn't you? The point is not about what could happen, the point about what is happening. This is a stupid premise. But the self-described pro-life party couldn't care less. You want to go down the pro-life? We can go down pro-life. We can talk about that. Because in one scenario, you're going actively making a decision. In another scenario, you're enabling rights that depend on an outcome, good or bad, who's using the tool. We can open that door. I'm not going to, that's not what this channel is about, but that's why I brought you this. This is a perfect episode of Bullet Points because this guy who wrote this is a extreme far left progressive, and even he can't get analogies on Ben Franklin right while looking down his nose with the rest of us. And that's what I have for you today. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you tonight at the 9 p.m. slot. This is Braden, signing out.